Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. The sneezing has stopped for now, so we're feeling pretty good. Matt Lay will be our guest tonight. Can technology solve the paranormal mystery? It's going to be a fun one tonight. Dirty Filth will be here as well in just a little bit. But first, we have to say hello to each and every one of you, including Eternity Eternal in the gold medal position. Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing a silver. Kitty Caddywhack with a bronze medal tonight. As we scroll on and kick off roll call, Race Fan, Lisa Smith, and Frankie B. How you doing? Jessica Davenport is here. Jessica Davenport will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. And B, Necessary Dialogue, and Mama Catherine. I love you, Mama Catherine. I hope you had a wonderful day. And I know you're going to enjoy tonight's show, so sit back, relax, and let Davey do the work, if you don't mind. Vegan Meat Pie, welcome to SOR Chat. Let's see here. Oh, you listen on Spotify every day. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. T-Bone, my man, how you doing? Thunderhead, what's happening? Kathy Evans, nice to see you. Cosmic Joe, and who's the Mudutu Effect? Oh, that's Matt Lay and his great beard. Matt Lay, honestly, you'll notice he has the best beard in the paranormal. Yes, he does. Best beard in the paranormal. Prove me wrong when I bring him on camera in just a little bit. Shelly Heaton, how are you? Nice to see you as we continue on with our roll call here tonight. And who is next on our list? Scrolling on down, it's Thomas Rock, a.k.a. Alpine Fur. And who is next here? Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show. Because you can't talk paranormal without a little bit of lube, making it nice and smooth. And Matt literally said to me before the show, Dave, there's no way I'm coming on the show unless Mel lubes me up. So Mel is currently lubing up Matt as we speak. Bad Cop, No Donuts, how you doing? Nice to see you as we continue on with our roll call here. Who is next? Skip to my Lou. Good morning to you. Creepy Pasta, how are you doing? Operation Shutdown. Nice to see you as we continue on with our roll call. And up next, we say hello to Oob to Joe's Main. You've got ghosts. Yes, you do. And who's next? Undead Jed. Nice to have you here. Algaray over on Twitch. 750 pounds on the leg press machine. 88 times. He's only claiming 47 because he didn't want to embarrass the rest of us. 88 times, 750 pounds. That's right. All right, moving on. Let's say hello to 11. And who is next here? I'm Hardcore over on X. I'm Hardcore will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Noble Patrick, how are you? I gave him $1. Welcome to SOR Chat all the way from Australia. How are you? And Noble Patrick again, because I wanted to say it twice because I love you, buddy. Scrolling on down here, and we have AAO. And Stargazer, how are you? AJ, nice to see you early. Dirty Filth, how you doing? Nice to see you. Awesome Cat Chaser, nice to have you here as we continue on with our roll call. Rory, how you doing? Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. We're delving back into the paranormal. Will technology solve the mystery? Guest Matt Lay is here from the Mudutu Effect. We're going to have some fun with him. Kurt M., how you doing? As we are in roll call on our YouTube side right now. Bobbert, nice to see you. And who is next? Well, let's take a look. We're done scrolling. Oh, Stephen Drysdale, how you doing? Nice to have you here. Candace, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. Hey, we want to remind all of you the super chat is open. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And if you haven't already, you could join our YouTube membership and you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. Hey, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, how you doing, buddy? And do me a favor, everybody, throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show for you tonight as we're going to get into the paranormal. Will technology solve the mystery? Matt Lay will be here momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off. Then Robin Haynes will be here for the Q&A, which we always have a lot of fun each and every week. Matt Lay is an American veteran of the United States Air Force as well. I'm not sure if he's got his Canadian citizenship yet, but we'll ask him here momentarily. God help him for being a Rough Riders fan after they won the Grey Cup on the weekend. But nonetheless, he is a paranormal researcher and investigator from the beautiful province of Saskatchewan. Best known for his deep dives into the supernatural mysteries and unexplained phenomena across North America. As the creator of the Mudutu Effect, Matt brings a uniquely analytical yet intuitive approach to the paranormal, blending indigenous wisdom, environmental consciousness, and hands-on field investigation. Through his work, he aims to connect the dots between natural forces, human intuition, and the spirit world, challenging both skeptics and believers alike. With years of experience exploring haunted locations, cryptid sightings, and of course, spiritual anomalies, Matt's research has gained a wide following across social media and the world. His insightful commentary, boots on the ground investigations, and thought-provoking theories have positioned him as one of the emerging voices of paranormal phenomena. Visit his website, mudutu.ca. Subscribe to his YouTube and TikTok to experience the Mudutu Effect for yourself. And with that, he's also, in my opinion, has the best beard going in the paranormal. Matt Lay, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
Oh, doing just fine. Thank you.
It's always good to share the airwaves with you, my friend. And I think about you and your beautiful wife, Allison, a lot, and it, what a lot of our American listeners don't understand is even though you're only 2 provinces away, you're like 1,000 miles.
Yeah, that is true.
It's not like going from, we're in Massachusetts and I feel like visiting friends in Philadelphia this weekend. Let's go for a 5-hour drive. It's not like that.
No, it isn't. And also, I mean, just even here in Saskatchewan, I'm used to going on those drives, and every few minutes you're crossing, through another town. Here, you got a couple hours before you do that, but you can see them.
Oh yeah, you can see forever there. Your dog never gets lost in Saskatchewan.
Never.
You will never lose your dog in Saskatchewan. And if you lose your dog, somebody kidnapped it.
Yep.
Or dog napped it, I guess would be saying. Have you got your Canadian citizenship yet, or are you still holding on to the beautiful US of A?
I'm a permanent resident.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I have my PR, but and it's just out of laziness. I haven't gone to get my citizenship yet. So.
Well, we still love having you here. We do.
I love being here. This is great.
Now, you have a very unique paranormal story because you're and I mean this with all due compliment, you're a technology geek,
Mhm.
and you're trying to be able to blend the paranormal with the technology to see what truly is going on. Before we get deep into that conversation, how did the paranormal life begin for you?
Oh, well, it's funny because I just did this lecture a couple of weeks ago, and I held up a book from 1986 that I first read, and it got me hooked. And I went on my first investigation. It's so funny because I read this book in 1987. I went on my first investigation, and I knew it all because I read this book. Ah. Yeah, it's a constant learning process. I didn't know it all. But and this was in Mobile, Alabama. Wrap that in your head. But at the time, of course, as you well know, the UAP sightings were off the hook. There were so many different, of course, there's a lot of folklore down there. So everywhere you turned, there was something, between cryptids to UAPs to haunted locations, so there was never a dull moment.
Did the ghost just come to you, or what really dragged you into this phenomena? What caught your attention?
Apparently, well, okay, so a lot of people stayed away from the paranormal because of the whole satanic panic that was going on in the 80s. It had this taboo, everybody wanted to stay away from it, which, I didn't do that. But that drove me more to investigate more, to find out answers. And but because of that, there were not that many people around that people could go to and ask questions. And the more questions that are asked, the more you learn. And I also want to apologize to the listeners. The throat, I don't always sound like this. I have a great radio voice right now, but it's because of a cold.
You're sounding stunning right now. Stunning.
But yes, it's so opportunities just kept coming up nonstop. And because of that, I was able to, I won't say advance quickly, but it's more, I had more opportunities to ask questions, because the more questions you ask, the more you're going to learn. So.
Were you always just wanting to learn about the paranormal, or were you wanting to experience the paranormal? Because there is a big difference between the two.
There is a huge difference. The problem, a lot of people don't realize there's enthusiasts and there's researchers. And I've always been a researcher. And I'm not one to go out for the scare, type thing. I want to not only experience it, but I want to learn what's happening. And, not just, okay, I got a voice, but now I want to understand more in depth of why I got this voice and understand the frequency it came through. What were the conditions? Everything. When I look at, here's an analogy I give everybody, and it's called the dot theory. We look at a dot, a round circle, and we just see a dot. But not until you are willing to rotate that, you realize that's a rod. So you have to adjust your perception, and you have to look at all angles in order to see the full picture. But all too often, people just focus on that dot and say, that's it, and they won't look beyond that spectrum.
Why blend, your love of technology for the paranormal? What's the fascination in that?
Well, I'm a communications engineer. I have degrees in electronics, and so frequencies, I speak that language, I guess you would say. But my love for that comes from actually reading old manuscripts. When you read through old manuscripts, these from the 16th and 17th centuries, you start to see correlations between them and modern physics. And as an example, I'll just give you a prime example. Giordano Bruno was burned at the stake for being a heretic, but his ideas and his theories are still being used in physics today. But you look at all these old manuscripts, and then you start adapting and realize that through electronics, through modern technology, you can recreate a lot of this. And no different from writing Python, or we were chatting before the show. I've developed my own AI analytics platforms just for this. So I love the fact that we went from carrying those big giant VCR recorders on our shoulders, throwing out our backs, to now, small devices, and be able to use so much technology that is available for us. So
And it's all in one hand now.
yeah, exactly. But the problem is we went away from, and we can get into this later, but we went away from data and we went to blinky lights. When we were first starting, we were looking for data, but as time evolved, we went from, oh, is it yellow? Is it green? Is it yellow? Did it turn red? And we weren't looking for data. We were looking for indicators. So that's why I like the technology, because I want the data.
Your love of this subject has taken you to places and realms you would never expect. As you grew as a paranormal researcher, investigator, what was your goal, or what is your goal?
The next best question, I guess you would say. So every time you open up a door, you're just exposing more doors to open. I love going down rabbit holes and finding that information. But my end game goal is to understand, because I don't believe the concept of supernatural or paranormal is that. I think it's something normal that goes on around us all the time. It's just our perceptions and understanding what's actually happening. I mean, by definition, paranormal is anything that cannot be explained by science. Well, me losing my keys every morning before I go to work, that's pretty paranormal, but it's not the case of, but pretty much so anything paranormal or supernatural in my eyes, and what through the different researches, has been finding out that it's normal. these are things that are normally happening around us all the time. How do we lift that veil? How do we be able to see it?
Is it about trying to figure out if there is life after death?
No, because that's a cultural and a social interpretation. So only, it depends on your social and your cultural upbringing, and your biases will make those determinations. And whenever you're doing any type of research, you cannot have any biases. You have to look at just raw data. So
I don't usually read comments from the chat room this early in the show, but Stargazer was saying, Dave, you need to take Matt to Flight 21. He sounds like he could do some good research. We were literally just talking about that before the show. And I'm going to be honest with you, Matt, he's a tough guy because he's a workaholic. He's a workaholic. So I'm literally going to need his wife, Allison, to grab him by the earlobes and drag him to British Columbia to come next summer to do this, because it has to be done.
She's behind me and she says, done.
It's the only way. It's the only way. But getting back to the other question that I had for you in regards to following up with, is there life after death? I mean, obviously that is what scares people.
Mm-hmm.
It scares every single one of us, because outside of taxes, death is the only thing that we're all going to go through, that we all have in common. So what is a ghost?
You know what? By definition, and that's here, we've had this debate, Allison and myself, with others, and a lot of people will disagree with us, but we don't know. That's the thing, is we can measure it via energy. We can measure it, we can measure it by frequency. But here's the thing. Unless you are throwing in your biases, then yeah, you're going to define what a ghost is. So in one of my lectures, when I sat there and I said, unless Auntie May is writing on the wall saying, I am Auntie May, I can make all kinds of conclusions in my head and say, oh, this is a concept of something that my Auntie may do, and then start making my own conclusions. Unfortunately, that's what a lot of paranormal teams do. And
Right.
But to define what a ghost is, I cannot, because I can measure it via energy. I can measure it via frequency. So if you ask me what I think a ghost is, I'm going to say it's energy. And that's all I can say, is it's something that I can measure and get an absolute from, versus, but I'm not going to call it a ghost. I'm just going to say it's an anomaly of energy, because I don't know.
Okay, so the fact that it is something that is energy, that you have confirmed.
Correct.
Okay, but what you haven't confirmed is what is causing those voices. Who is saying those voices? Where are those voices coming from? Are they from a heaven or a purgatory or a hell? Are they from a different dimension, a different timeline, a different, maybe time travelers? I don't know. Is it recorded energy from the Mother Earth as we speak?
So, and you bring up a really good point. Hey, let's step to the heaven hell portion, and I apologize if this offends anybody, but I don't believe in that, because that is once again, that's a pre-programmed social cultural aspect. I don't look at it that way. Now, the recorded aspects, that has the same concept. You have so many different variables that can cause a residual haunting. I'm making air quotation marks in the air. And these residuals are non-intelligent. They are just pretty much so, like we were talking about a minute ago with the VCR. They're just playback based on the right conditions, the right energy levels, and no different than that's why we carry a I can't even think of it, a Geiger counter, because things like marble, limestone, even if the iron rods are crafted through granite, will cause elevated spikes in um, in radiation, basically harmless, but some people are hypersensitive, and they can, because of that, they will see these playbacks of history. That's all it is a playback. It's throwing the VCR in and seeing these clips. But then you have the other scenario, which is what I lean more toward, multidimensional things along the lines of astral, ethereal. These are in every culture around the world. And there's been a lot of old manuscripts about these. And we were chatting before about why is it we don't see footprint on the ground, when ghosts are walking by, but you hear them. Well, one of the aspects is you're saying, is it possible that they're above? Well, when you have the ethereal point of view, you're looking at the universe in layers. So it's going on around you all the time, but it's just a layered aspect. So it's not something that, even though we hear it, we know it's happening, we get to feel it, because I don't care how much tech I create, we are the best tool in the arsenal. But to be able to know that there is another layer, another aspect around you at all times, that's exciting to me. And that's why I get over enthusiastic about it.
Oh, I don't blame you. It's your passion.
Mhm.
It's your life. It's something that you have committed to. And the lucky part for you is you have a beautiful spouse who is very much in tune with what you're doing, because she's on her own journey as well. And you're able to combine that. I mean, what's it like with 2 minutes to go to have that type of support for what you do, and to have a partner in crime that you can work together on it?
Oh my gosh, she's my muse. Because a lot of times I'll be working on something and she'll go, "Well, what if this?" Or "What does it be possible if this happens?" And gets me to thinking about it. And she is amazing. Yeah, it's pretty much our date night is discussing theories and paranormal aspects.
Well, it's better than sitting on your phone on the couch all night.
Yes, agreed.
Hey, at least you're together, but gee whiz, right? We got about a minute to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Matt Lay from the Mudutu Effect is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. The fact that you have that support and that partnership where it gives you a lot of free will to do what you want, how much easier or how much harder does that make your deep dives into this?
Mm. Only when I go down the I get hyper focused, and she has to call me out sometimes because I won't sleep, I won't stop and eat, and because I get so hyper focused that I want to get down to the root of everything, and she has to reel me in. So yeah, it as far as that goes, yeah, she has to. I'm lucky, because otherwise I wouldn't eat or sleep.
In other words, you are completely addicted to solving the paranormal mystery.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. And on that note, Matt, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Matt Lay from the Mudutu Effect. Mudutu.ca is the website. You can check it on out. They are based out of beautiful Saskatchewan. Try and pronounce that 3 times, America. You'll get lost, I promise. But it's a great place. We'll be right back. All right, we are clear. Remember, our audience can hear us. Hey, Dirty.
Hi, Dave.
Hello, Dirty.
Hello, Dave.
Your dad's in the chat room.
Oh, great.
Yeah. He literally said in the chat room that he wished he had popped your pimple on your forehead the other day.
Sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. Said that whitehead would look like a real gusher.
Sounds like him.
Mm-hmm.
He said to say hi before the show, Dave.
I know. I'm glad he's here.
Me too. I'm glad he's doing better.
Look at that. He says, I did so.
Those soldier guys, you can't stop them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you for your service, Corporal Joy. We appreciate and love you, man. We do. And thank you for the blessing of dirty filth on this show.
Thanks, Dad.
Hello, Dad.
Yeah. I call him every night and I bug him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I know he's sleeping, give him a call.
Yeah. We should prank call him sometime.
I think we should do that. Well, he's going to know. He's going to see a BC number and Alberta number and know exactly who it is.
He says, nasty pimple. Thank you, Dave. This is the first time Dirty Filth's dad has been in our chat room, Matt.
Oh.
Uh-huh. Yes, sweet Robbie G, a Papa Filth sighting. Yes. You know what? Just for that, okay, now I don't do this often. Corporal Joy will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the center of the studio, if you don't mind. To the center of the studio. We don't do that often. Dirty, how do you feel about your dad signing autographs after the show?
Well, you just have to give him a stamp.
He looks like
And
a
besides-
stamp kind of guy.
And he only writes in cursive, so a lot of people might not understand it.
Yeah. You know what? I bet you he's the kind of guy, literally, who would like bring the stamp out, but every now and again he'll say, you know, for an extra $40, I'll actually sign it.
Yeah,
Lil Cam on YouTube did 158 push-ups in 2.5 minutes to warm up for tonight's show. Signs of Life, how you doing? Semper Fi, is your dad a Marine?
No, I don't think so.
The Canadian Armed Forces? Yennefer, how are you? Look at Jessica Davenport. She's like,
Speaking of stamps, can you see that?
barely. Hold on, let me zoom in. I can see that.
Yeah. It says Matt approved.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, I still use that for all my official documents at work.
Gotcha. Corporal Joy. A great Canadian. I'm going to tip my cap to you, my friend. Tip my cap to you. Thank you for your service. Love you. What a beauty that Dirty Phil's dad is. Just a freaking beauty.
He's got more hair than me.
Everybody has. What about on his chest?
No, unfortunately. I'm the king of that, Dave. We're equally handsome. Me a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. That's good stuff.
If I may say one thing, when I went to animation school in Vancouver for 4 years, he paid my rent the entire time and gave me extra money to squander.
Nice. And
That
now
was
you
pretty
owe them
cool.
beers for life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Double vodkas and chicken wings forever.
Like a good chicken wing. I like a good chicken wing with some poutine. That's good stuff.
Greasy fries. Look
Mhm.
at that. There's a whole bunch of Canadians in here today, Dave.
I know. Good stuff. All right, guys, hold on one second here. Big thank you to T-Bone, my man, for our lone super chat so far. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. You can join our YouTube membership. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Matt, show your T-shirt here. Look at that. Look at that. Look how beautiful that logo looks. Get one. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's our good friend Matt Lay from the Mudutu Effect. We are talking about technology and the paranormal. Can the two mix? Matt, welcome back to the show. Good to have you here.
Awesome to be back.
All right. $1 million question. Can technology solve the paranormal mystery?
No, it won't solve it. It'll definitely help. The thing is this is my personal point of view, is that as I was saying before, the paranormal is something that's normal. It's always going on around us at all times. But as soon as you peel back the layer and you are able to experience it, and you are able to get those that communication open, all you're going to do is have more questions. And so to solve the paranormal mystery, I don't think in my lifetime, or I don't know, maybe if I really stay hyper focused on it, maybe. But but as far as with the current technology that we have, and but as it develops, is more and more possibilities for those answers to happen. But we got to be careful with those answers, because if we throw in biases, they're not really answers; they're just assumptions. So,
How do we study something if we don't know what we're looking for?
yeah, that is a really good question, and you have to look for the root of it. You can't sit there and say, I'm going to hunt a ghost. I'm going to hunt the cryptid. I'm going to hunt this. I really don't like the word hunt in any of those. What you're looking for is you're looking for data. And the more data that you find, and let me give you a really good example. When you have multiple books, let's say, as an example, Egyptian Book of the Dead, but you have the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and you look at them, two separate books. But when you actually start reading them, you realize they're saying the same thing. It's the same concept with the paranormal. When you're looking for data, you're looking for those pieces that correlate, and you start finding those pieces to where you can actually create the storyline out of the data. Versus I've only got this one little piece here, so, and then I build this, the old fish story. I caught this fish, but nobody saw it, so I'm going to tell everybody it was this, and that type of scenario. So if we're looking for hard data and not looking for a specific thing, just data, you start piecing together all the pieces of the puzzle instead of actually going, I've got a ghost or I've got this. If you just focus on the data, the frequencies, the hard evidence, the empirical evidence, then you actually start piecing together the law, the actual storyline. So,
Right. So let me get a little bit more specific here for our audience who may not understand. When you're saying data and empirical data, what is that to you?
oh, um, can I give you an example?
Please.
Okay. Just recently, right behind me, lean over, there's a new device that I developed, that big monstrosity. We can get into that later. But one of the things that we often do when we have a paranormal occurrence or different things like that, a lot of times you'll turn around, you feel like time was different. Holy crap, the time just moved so fast. I thought I was in there for like 30 minutes, but it's only been like 5 minutes, different things like this. Those are, once again, I will always say this. I don't care how much tech I build. At the end of the day, we are our best tool in the arsenal. But how do we measure that? So I use something called a DT meter. A DT meter was established to measure time distortions for UAP phenomenon. And that was a little redundant. But anyway, the concept here is because every time there's been a UAP sighting, there's been some type of time distortion. And so this Silicon Valley engineer came up with this really cool tool called a DT meter. And so while testing this, we were able to measure 8.99 seconds difference. And now that doesn't sound like a whole heck of a lot, but you sit there and count out 9 seconds in, especially in a dark room. Can I tell you if it was slowed down or sped up? I can't. All I know is that the actual data is 8.99 seconds variable. And all it is, DT meter sends out ones and zeros to a probe, and it creates a timing circuit back and forth. So when an anomaly happens and forces that bend, then it measures it. At most in the past, I've been able to measure 0.023 something, but it's the first time we've ever been able to measure and confirm, to go alongside of everybody going, well, that only felt like it was like 5 minutes. It was 42 minutes. But we also measured an 8.99 second gap, bend in time, space time. So, and that's the only way that it can happen. So that's hard data to correlate to what you feel.
So what is the purpose of going at it from that aspect, of going after, those time blips, those time warps, those energy fields?
It's, how many times have you experienced something and then you have to sit back and go, did it really happen?
Yes.
Now you have data to back up, not just, not just you got 2 or 3 people going, yeah, that happened. I think it happened, kind of feeding off of each other. Now you have data to back it up. So, and that's what I get excited about, is when I experience something and now I have data to actually back it up. And then it makes me want to go further into it.
So how do you collect this data?
Well, most arsenals are K2 meters and whatever. We don't use any of those. We actually use oscilloscopes, spectrum analyzers. I love my dual frequency oscilloscope. It's one of my favorite tools in the arsenal because I can measure multiple different aspects and have two wave bands on the screen and be able to watch that and record. But at the same time, spectrum analyzer to be able to measure for impedances or anything like that. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, the DT meter, we use the Geiger counter. It's a small unit that actually records. So anything is frequency or hard data that can't be, unfortunately, and I saw this comment in the chat, and it's a very good comment. Sometimes we get data and we try to bend it to our answers. No, that's not the case. Here, we need data that cannot be disputed. And that's what I like about using the spectrum analyzers. So, and the oscilloscopes. Yeah, you could turn around and say, that is because some idiot walked through here with a phone, But at the same time, you have to look very closely and look at all aspects of the data that's coming through.
And how does this coincide with trying to coordinate contact from the other side?
By definition of what do you mean by the other side? Because
wherever these ghosts, spirits, voices, phenomena are coming from.
Anywhere between, really at the end of the day, is what we're doing right now, Dave. We're communicating. And if we can, a lot of times, whether it's whatever your definition is of these events, a lot of times it has to be a case of communication, whether it be UAP based communication, whether it be ghosts, and I'm using air quotations again, it's communication. If you can gain levels of communication, then you can turn around and learn more about whether it's multidimensional, whether it's an aspect of veils, whether or not it's ethereal. There's so many different theories and ideas out there. Which one is there? One that's right? Is it a combination of a bunch of them? So, yeah.
So is that kind of like taking a step back where, say, somebody like me or somebody listening in saying, hey, we're going to go to the local museum and go for a ghost hunt, where instead of thinking we're hunting ghosts, we're taking steps back to say, okay, it may not be a ghost. It may be something else. Let's break it down to the smallest and lowest denominator that we can in order to start from scratch to see where this is going.
Exactly. I'd never like to go into a location where somebody says, excuse me, I'm sorry. If somebody says, I'm haunted, no, I don't look at it from that aspect. And I don't look at it as an aspect that they are haunted. They are being affected by something that they don't understand. Really, at the end of the day, that's what all of us are experiencing. We're experiencing something that we don't understand. And we're just trying to understand what's happening. Once again, I go back to these are occurrences that I feel that are normal. And with that being said, we're trying to understand what this normality is going on around us. Some of us have it happen all the time. Some of us, it's once in a blue moon. Some people never experience it. But when you are going into a location and you are pre-programmed, I'm going in looking for a ghost. You're going to probably find a ghost because you're focused on that. But if you're going in looking for just data, then you can go in with a little bit more open mind and only look for hard evidence.
The end goal is what?
Well, for me personally, is to drive my wife mental. No, no, it's I love to find more. The more I dig into something, I want to learn more, and I want to. Everything can be keep being broken down to the basics, and that to me is really important. You can't just stop and say, okay, I've identified this. It's like going back to this DT meter. I can't just stop and say, okay, I'm done. I've measured it. I'm walking away. No, I want to know more of not only why it happened, but I want to know how can I recreate it, because that's what makes it empirical evidence. But at the same time, I want to know, how often does this happen? Is this something that we created, or is this something that normally happens? So see how all the questions will start layering on top of each other, and that's the driver of all this.
What patterns have you noticed?
And this is going to sound. I'm going to give an example, and then I'm going to elaborate on that example. Remember when the SB11 first came out, Ghost Box? Everybody was all excited about that. I watched a live feed. Paranormal investigator was just so excited about it, and he literally was staring at this device, and it's doing the whole in the middle of the floor, and he's like, just say my name. That's all I want. I want whatever's here just to say my name. And he kept chanting that over and over and over. Guess what happened? It said his name. And exactly his voice. No, that was not a spirit. It works off of frequencies, and you are projecting, and you are focused on it. With that being said, we can create our own ghost. We can create all these different aspects. But when we are contaminating a field, we can contaminate a field with our own thoughts. We can project, and that alone definitely aligns. So we have to be very cautious if we're not. Do you want a ghost to be there? Yeah, you're going to make a ghost. You want it to be this? It's going to happen. So we have to, with all these different tools and all these different things, when we are projecting, we're going to create.
So in other words, we're creating our own tulpas.
Yeah. And sometimes, yes. We can make our own false positives.
How does that happen?
Well, it's recorded through a lot of, whether you want to call it pseudoscience or whether or not you want to look at the actual science of projecting, from remote viewers to everything else. By projecting energy, you can manipulate the energy fields. That's something that happens a lot. A haunting, and air quotation marks again, that I went to, we all went to actually, and we went through, did a full sweep of the house. We couldn't find anything other than, we expected like high EMF levels and them to be hypersensitive and everything else. But at the end of the day, it took Zener cards. Now, Zener cards are, remember back in the 70s, they were supposed to be testing for ESP and everything else. So whenever the mother was having a really, really bad day, activity ramped up. All it took was a 2-hour conversation. The daughter, who was autistic, by the way, another paranormal team wanted to do a exorcism on the autistic child for $3,000. That's what we're going up against, folks. But anyway, that's anyway. Dave and I have had several conversations about nut jobs like this. But anyway, all it took is I turned around and I asked the mother, I'm holding up a Xena card. Can you tell me what card am I holding up? She goes, a star. I said, no, it's squiggly lines. I asked the daughter, I'm holding up a Xena card. What card am I holding up? Square. No, sorry, it's a star. Then I showed it to the mother. The daughter got it every single time. The mother would get the daughters every single time. It turns out they were feeding off of each other and they were projecting this energy through their own frustrations. All of their hauntings disappeared when they actually just sat down every day and discussed how their days were going. So, yes, we can project. We can manifest all these activities going on. But unless you're willing to identify it, that you're probably causing it. That was my very first investigation. It was actually a child that was causing it, not a spirit. So we do project. No different than you walk into a room and right after an argument, you feel that tension. Yeah, you don't have to look at anybody. You don't even have to see the glaze over in their eyes at each other, but you can feel it. That is that energy in that air that you can feel. So we manifest.
What about communication? As we got about 3 minutes to go here.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to create that communication with those voices on the other side.
Well, I do. One of the things that I do like is EVPs, but not in the same aspect that a lot of people that will listen to EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. Every time I say that, I want to go phenomenon. Anyway, but I have to listen to them not only forward, but listen to them reverse, slow down. I changed the bit rate just to make sure I'm not doing pareidolia through the audio. Because how many times you hear something and immediately go, oh, it said this. And until you slow it down or, you have to identify it. Well, that's why I have now a phonetics AI platform that I built to remove that human element out of it. So, but to communicate, that's why I focus strictly on frequencies and not on the generalized. I focus strictly on the kilohertz, which is what seems to work the best, that range on the kilohertz, because I see the hertz and the kilohertz are the natural Earth's energies. So that's why I like to focus on those.
When you're communicating with the spirit, you are able to get those frequencies that they are speaking on.
Mm-hmm. We've measured anywhere. It depends, though, because a person, once again, projecting can change the dynamics in the room. So if me, you and myself are in a room and we're trying to communicate, and I leave the room, and let's say my wife Allison comes in the room, the entire dynamic has changed. And once that dynamic has changed, then that baseline frequency has changed. So you have to be able to adapt quickly. And like, for example, one time I measured solid 17 hertz. No disputing it, 17 hertz. But I changed the dynamics of the group, and that entire frequency changed. So it's not only the frequency that they're communicating, it's the frequency that we are emitting.
Yeah, I can see that, but you like to get in, or try to get into intelligent conversations with whoever you're communicating or whatever you're communicating with. We're going to get more into that in the next hour, but I mean, you have got some pretty intriguing messages over time that you've been able to record. And a lot of people have never heard an EVP before. They've never heard a ghost talking to them, or if they have, they probably brush it off as something to do with some sort of mind-bending trick that their brain is doing. But we're going to get more into that when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Matt Lay is our guest tonight. He's from the beautiful province of Saskatchewan. His website, mudutu.ca. He is the creator of the Mudutu Effect. We'll be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, we are clear. We're going to turn things over to Dirty Filth here for a little bit. And Matt, we got about 5.5 minutes, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Hello, Dirty.
Hello, Dave. Go feed the dog man and the Bigfoot, Dave. It's very important.
You can't do anything to stop me.
He's got to go put snacks out for the Bigfoot, the dog man. Alrighty. Here we are. Doing my little advertisement for my book, which came out in September. You can find it at Amazon.com. Just plug in Cryptic Cartoons with Dirty Filth. It'll be on there. There's 2 volumes so far. And the second one has a lot more comics in it than the first one, because obviously you gotta make the second one a little bit better. This is a little advertisement I decided to make. Came to me the other day. Hello, boy. You coming up? Come on. The gremlin doesn't know what he's doing. For anybody that watches my show on Saturdays, and pretty much any time, kind of probably familiar with the gremlin of the gargoyle, Rudigers. And I want to say thanks for my pop for coming in and doing his best to embarrass me, but I have no shame, father. So anyways, this cartoon I'm doing here, it's about Bigfoot, and he's doing an advertisement for my show. And I'm just about done the penciling here, or the inking rather. So anyways, there's Bigfoot saying that I enjoy this new book, 10 out of 10 stars. And then I show up with his laundry. It's definitely not a sack full of money or anything. And I say, "Here's your laundry, sir." And he goes, "Cut to commercial, cut to commercial." There's none of that stuff. There's no bribing going on. There's no bribing of Sasquatch. This is actually his laundry. I can assure you of that. But on top of that, I also got my new calendar done today. That sucker came out earlier today. Let me share the link if you'd like a calendar for the next year. I share the link in the YouTube chat there. And that's my 2026 calendar. I think it's probably like my 4th calendar at this point in time. And it's got a whole bunch of interesting dates about UFOs and things like that. And a couple cryptid dates and everything in there as well. And yes, I think it's like $21 Canadian or $41 Canadian, which is like $5 American. Because everything gets expensive these days. But I do a calendar every year, and I also sent out Christmas cards to everybody. So if you're interested in a Christmas card, you can go to filthy.com and send me an email. You have to have some sort of post office box or valid living address of some sort so I can send a Christmas card to you. People like Jules have had one for the last like 10,000 years. Just gotta make sure we get Sasquatch a little more fluffier. There's the gremlin. Doesn't always do it. He just bonked his head. Come on. You coming up or what? There we go. I found a gremlin, everybody. Look at I found a gremlin. Yeah, he's definitely a gremlin. He's just gonna pile on top of everything now. But yes, also if you're interested in more cartoons, can't see because there's a cat in the way. every Saturday at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, Mountain Standard, I do a cartoon, and usually the cats are there as well, and my accomplice Fox Vegas, and I show off some of the plushies that she's been working on and that pertain to my cartoons, and I ramble about artwork and junk. And this Saturday, actually, I'm doing a drawing right from scratch via request, so that'll be interesting. I've never done one of those before, so it's going to be fun. So yes. But after this, I'm going to have to go and give the cat snacks. Gargoyle is licking my leg, my kneecap. Stop it. He's out of control, everybody. I tell you. Those cats. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their night. Dave should be back here momentarily. And I am about to sign off here and go give some cats some cat snacks, because apparently they're starving, despite the fact that Mrs. Phil had fed them already earlier today. Oh boy, what? It's the 18th, if I remember correctly. Yes. There's my little advertisement there. Cryptic Cartoons, Volume 2, available now on Amazon. Look, there's a cat.
Well, there you go.
Hi,
There
Dave.
you go. That's why you're
I'm not
on-
bribing Sasquatch, Dave. Cut the commercial. Okay, Matt, Dave, everyone else, you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'll see you in the future.
Thank you, Dirty Filth. You're dirty.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you tonight to T-Bone, who's still holding down our lone super chat of the night. And get your questions ready for Matt this half hour. And we're going to get going. Karen Aitkins, welcome to SOR Chat in New Jersey. How are you? Here we go. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott, and I love bringing these weird, strange topics to you each and every night. It makes my tinfoil t-shirt seem a lot more comfortable when we do this. So thank you for joining us. Hey, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ultra Crepidate. Ultra Crepidate is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's get to our guest. Matt Lay is a paranormal researcher, a technician, and somebody who's trying to blend technology to solve what is the paranormal mystery. And Matt, thank you so much for coming here. His website is mudutu.ca. If you want to check it on out, thank you for joining us.
Awesome. I've been reading some of the questions in the chat. Looking forward to getting to those.
Well, let's start off with this one right off the bat. Shelley is asking, what is your theory then on mediumship?
Well, okay. Just like paranormal teams, what's that percentage that we came up with? About 5% are legit. Unfortunately, a lot of psychics or whatnot, however you want to word it, mediums, are holding their hand out. They want the money more than want to help. And but there are some legitimate psychics out there, and this goes back to the concept of getting in tune with your environment. When you are as an individual projecting energy, you can be more in tune. So, but at the same time, and you can tell I'm kind of sugarcoating this with some of the psychics, because unfortunately, like the story I just told about the autistic child, there was that was a psychic that was running that and wanted to do the exorcism on the autistic child. Just recently, within the past year, another psychic tried to do an exorcism on a 2-year-old child. And of course, for high dollar amount. The legitimate psychics out there, the ones that are actually, you won't hardly find them. So I have a hard time with psychics personally because there are so many out there, and I call them carnies. There are so many carnies out there. So if I have a psychic here, one of the devices that we have is we have a portable ECG meter. So what we do is we actually measure their body changes while we're also measuring their energy field. So their bioelectric field, which we finally figured out how to do. But because everybody has their own energy field about them. So whenever a person is a psychic, and I'm using that term loosely, then that's why we measure. And there's been some amazing psychics here in Saskatchewan, but I can only tell you that we've only found maybe 2 out of all the ones that we've talked to that weren't trying to do the carny routine, the snake oil. So I apologize.
Explain that. I'm going to cut you off right there for a second because I think you're bringing up an extremely valid point here. Okay. Because for a lot of people out there, people who go to psychics, and I have had the ability to meet a number of really good psychics and ones that, you know, I wouldn't lend them $10.
No.
And I think a lot of psychics, a lot of people who go to psychics are in a bad time in their life. Okay. They're not going for entertainment purposes or for just show and tell. They're going there because maybe they lost a loved one or they can't find a job or, they're just going through a horrible time in their life and they're looking for some sense of validation and hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that there are a lot of people who take advantage of that mainly by reading body and emotion.
That is exactly right. And I appreciate the clarification because in the chat, a lot of times mediumships, psychics, all of those get clustered into one grouping, just like paranormal. Paranormal is a blanket term, and all of these things can get piled into one category. So with that being said, it's a very good clarification in the chat that in this aspect, talking to the dead. But once again, this is just my personal opinion. That is more of a biased approach because it's kind of like when people go into cemeteries to do ghost hunts. Dave knows my personal opinion on that. And because, I mean, all right, let's say like if I am going to be haunting a location, I am not going to be haunting a gravestone. I'm going to be on a beach on the Gulf Coast. There's no way I'm going to be haunting in a graveyard. But when people go into graveyards, to me, that's very disrespectful and, things like that. But to talk to the dead, things along those lines, I can't disprove or confirm or deny. I heard a bunch of different accounts, but to me personally, I think that's more along the lines of a biased approach because not everybody believes, not every culture, not every society believes that is even possible.
Would you consider yourself intuitive? Is there a difference between mediumship and intuition?
People can read energy when you go into a room, or you can know if there's a variation of that energy. We are walking antennas, so so we can pick up different variations of energy. It's no different than going into a room that's extremely static. So, excuse me. So if you go in there, you can feel the static in the air. It's no different in any scenario. So,
Okay, so let's change it, take it off of the ghostly paranormal side for a second. Let's go into the forest, where I think human intuition does kick in when you get into the forest. If you're being watched or followed, there's been times where I've been in the forest where I'm like, something's around, you turn around and there's a deer right behind you, or you know, a mountain lion. Like I remember the night we had the mountain lion, you know, come by us, like within 40, 50, 60 feet of us, like literally 3 minutes after we put our pointy sticks away, you know. But we had felt earlier on that there was something animal around. And then right as we're going to leave, we have the mountain lion sighting. So my question is, if you're in the forest, say looking for Bigfoot, or a lot of hunters will say, hey, the energy feels like there's a bear around here, or a moose around here, or a deer, or a rabbit, or whatever it may be. There is those times when we have those situations happen, where intuition, our own knowledge, is telling us what is in our surroundings.
Yep. And that you're exactly on point with this. You know, removing anything from the paranormal. We go back to that. What I was saying. You go into a room and people have been arguing. You know, it's the same concept. You feel that energy. You feel that in that area. But you go into the woods, you're more grounded. You're more connected to the environment. And once again, this is my personal opinion, but you are in the forest, you are grounded, you are connected to the environment. The environment is also putting off energy. Think of it as water, and something is swimming through the water, whether it's close to you or not, but you feel the waves. So it's how you interpret those. And it's the same concept.
Gotcha. Okay, so with your machines that you were creating, because you've played some of the voices for me, I'm not sure if we could do that here, or if you could fire it up, or what have you, but are you getting real-time communication with these spirits, entities, whatever we call them?
No. I wish. I really wish. Um, that's something I would really like to get to the point, is real-time communication, not necessarily reviewing and then going, holy crap, this was going on the whole time. To me, that's disappointing. That kind of defeats the purpose of the whole thing. You want to be able to communicate, not find out later that you were actually communicating and you missed the whole, conversation. And I can play that through the mixer board here. But say like this particular EVP, it was all for the recent test. And through the analytics, we had to slow it down in order to be able to get the wording out of it, because initially it just sounds like a blip. That's going back to what we were saying earlier. A lot of times we hear these type of scenarios and we dismiss it as a blip, or dismiss it as a technical glitch. But in this case, after slowing this down and running through the phonetics, analytics, it's saying and unfortunately I'm planting this in your head, so now you're going to be doing the whole pareidolia thing. But phonetics comes back and says that it's I see you, and this is it. I'll play it again. So
What
unfortunately,
did that say for people who didn't understand it?
what's that?
What did that say for people who didn't understand it?
I see you.
Okay.
That's only now pareidolia. For those that don't know, pareidolia is when you your brain sees. It's called the man in the moon syndrome. It's a normal function of the brain where you see patterns and you make a face out of it or some type of scenario like that. So in this case scenario, you can do also the same thing with audio, and you're going to make it into something that you want it to be. So that's why I have to rely on a phonetics platform, a separate phonetics platform, because I got to take the human element out of it, because the human element will turn around and say, I heard this, I heard that. So in this case, it came back and it typed out, I see you. And it gives me a waveform analysis of each letter. So, but with this, the reason it sounds so drug out is because it's slowed down. The initial file is very quick. Play it again. Oh, it was requested in there. Okay. So, that's the thing is I have to try to remove the human element out of these things, because if I put the human element in there, I'm going to start filling out and going, I heard this or heard that, So, yeah, you can't. And did I ever tell you the story of what triggered this?
No.
Fine?
Tell us a story.
We were on Cowasses, and there was a situation where the camera blipped, and we heard this squeak. So we immediately dismissed it as battery, and we also dismissed the squeak as the floor. And as we've chatted before, I tend to go back to old evidences as technology evolves. I go through old evidence and want to learn more about what we dismissed. It's like an entire directory of dismissed items, debunked, as we would like to call it. So I go back and I listen, and then I learned, okay, wait, I got to slow it down, so I changed timing on it, because this is my big topic I want to talk to you about on its timing. So once I slowed it down, I realized it was actually a full conversation, whereas it on the camera, it just sounded like a blip. Now, here's the thing, and this is something for everybody to think about. We know all of our formulas for time are based on this physical universe. Time affects audio, video, what we see, everything. And because we don't know what the formula is for time on the on any other realm, whatever your definition is, veil, multidimensional, or anything else, we don't know what that formula is to actually communicate. So that's why you have to listen to everything in different times, different sequences. And you can't just assume that whenever you see the big giant apparition in front of you, time affects what you see visually. So that's the same concept. You could actually be seeing something very gentle, very nice, trying to communicate with you, but because of our own fears and the distortion between understanding the difference in time, this will actually end up looking like this big gray mass monstrosity. So it's how we perceive it and how we're willing to sit back and look at these.
So that voice that we heard, as we got about 5 minutes to go here,
Mhm.
that said, "I see you."
Right.
Was that just it communicating through the machine on its own volition, or was that you asking questions and it responding?
We had actually right after that happened is when we got the time distortion, literally seconds. Not using that very loosely because define seconds in this case, but the time distortion device triggered the alarm, or we kept saying, "We are here." It was the actual kind of the mantra of the whole thing. And this is a group of a wide variety of, you got atheists, you got pagans, you got wide variety of skeptics, all in one room. But that was one of the biggest things we kept saying was, "We are here." And then the phrase, "I see you," and then the alarm triggered for the DT meter kicked off.
And that's where you found the voice.
Correct. Well, unfortunately, didn't find the voice until afterwards.
Can you get that into a real-time conversation eventually?
I think it could. But that's the challenge. The reason I say it's a challenge, because the frequencies are constantly changing. And everything that we've measured so far, there's never a constant on the frequencies. So that's why the newest rendition is hopefully going to be able to bridge that gap. Crossing my fingers.
Let's go to a question from our audience. Let's go to necessary dialogue. Has our time ever changed?
You know what? I don't know. I think if it did, and I've read a lot of different things on this, which make a lot of sense that it has. But however, I cannot confirm or deny, only on the basis that I don't know. That's one of those things I love to read on, but I can't make a hard conclusion on.
That's what many people believe the Mandela effect is all about too.
Yeah, and there's also the concept of different stages in evolution that time changed. So there's a huge amount of papers written on it, anywhere between jumps in societies, the jumps in, even with the jumps of UAPs in different eras. They were caused by time changes. There's a lot of different papers on this subject, and the problem is I can't confirm or deny. I just love reading and researching on it because I find it fascinating.
Yeah, the Mandela effect blows me away. It really makes me wonder if we have had a jump in certain timelines. I don't think it's all one timeline, but maybe different ones all intersecting, kind of like tectonic plates.
Mm-hmm. There is a hard theory that, and I'm going to go back to the old manuscripts. In the old manuscripts, they state that there's specific times and dates to carry out certain actions. Well, what if these were actually mapped out in earlier times as thin points for different time conjunctions?
Matt, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we're coming back in about 25 seconds. We do have to go to break. I cannot believe how quickly this is flying on by. It is always a great time when Matt Lay from the Mudutu Effect is here on Spaced Out Radio. Not only does he have the best beard in the paranormal, but he also is an absolute brainiac when it comes to trying to use technology to prove what else is out there. It's like he has his own scientific lab in his own home.
I do.
And that's what he's doing. And we got more until the top of the hour with Matt Lay right after this. Stay tuned, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. Shelley agrees. You have a great beard. Excuse me. She's literally my favorite Shelley in the world. Only Shelley I know with a CH.
The interesting part about that one question is another device which is going out for beta testing for meditation or anything along those lines, dreams. That's it's almost done. It'll be done this week, and it'll be going out for beta testing. And then, if everything works well, then we'll put it on the website. But yeah, it's not just about finding data. If we can also help with consciousness and help open people's minds, then definitely this is a goal.
I understand that. Totally understand that. Hold on. There we go. Yes, thank you, Jules, for reminding. If you haven't already, do us a favor, hit like, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and after the show, leave a comment. We've noticed our channel is kind of shadow banned here on the platform, YouTube, and we're trying to get out of that. Wherever you're listening, though, do me a favor. You listen to this for free. Just do me the favor and literally hit subscribe, hit follow, ring that bell. Help us get more out there if you don't mind. We can't do it without you guys supporting that, and we'd really appreciate it. And be like Matt, go to our Spaced Out Radio store and pick yourself up a nice Bigfoot t-shirt. And Matt will agree, we do not have ugly swag.
No, I really like these. So I should have switched out on that last break and put the other shirt on.
Oh, you can switch out. We got 2 minutes.
Oh, I don't. That's 27 stairs. Not at my age.
No. Andromedan, how you doing? When did you get those?
Oh, the shirts?
Yeah.
They came in last week. Yeah, last week.
Well, very cool. So it is of the new stuff. That's good.
Yeah.
That actually looks pretty good. Is that the black one?
Yeah, this is the black one with the Bigfoot on it, and then the other one that I got was the Spaced Out Radio crew with the UAP on it.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that logo? I was using a company that I paid a membership for called P&G Tree. And literally, I've been using them for like a year and a half. And all of a sudden, about a month ago, I got an email from them saying that I didn't have the proper membership to use any of their logos on t-shirts. So they wanted me to pay an extra $400 American a month, which is like 28,000 Canadian.
Yeah.
Okay. And they wanted me to buy another yearly membership for like 400 American to use their logos. So I took that logo and I took all of the logos. And I'm like, why am I paying for this when I could just create my own through AI now? It doesn't make sense. So I ran that logo through AI and found there is no copyright infringement on that logo. So here they were griping that I was stealing their work for profit when that logo doesn't even have copyright infringement on it. So I sent him a terse email saying, cancel my lifetime membership effective immediately, and basically go F yourself, San Diego, aka Ron Burgundy. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thank you, T-Bone, for the super chat and gifting out a membership. Always appreciate your love and support. Cool Arrow, how you doing? Here we go, everybody. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the host of this radio show you tune on into. I wonder, what are all these crazy people talking about tonight? Yeah, I'm the leader of the pack. Why not? Because I just make your nights so much better. I do. I'll even pat myself on the back for that. I will, right there. Hey, we're going to get to our guest here momentarily, but first we want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show, or maybe you're just tuning in for the first time, wondering where you can find our archives, they're always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Till the top of the hour from the Mudutu Effect, Mudutu.ca, we have Matt Lay with us, paranormal investigator, researcher, and a guy who's trying to prove that technology can maybe figure out life's mysteries about what happens once we are gone. Goodbye. Goodbye, cruel world. Matt, welcome back, my friend. The best beard of the paranormal right here.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the after we're gone, but still trying to figure out a lot of different things that are going on. I'm playing with a 400,000 volt transformer in my hand, so I'll put that down.
Yeah, we don't need you to get electrocuted, until after we do the show.
Yeah, again.
After's fine. It's not right now. You ready for more audience questions?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let us go here, and let us go to Jules. What is your opinion then about remote viewing?
Ooh. Actually, remote viewing is one of my absolute fascinations. And coming up here from Atlanta, Georgia, after they lost the funding, and the remote viewers still tried to keep the location live. I think there's too much evidence to support it now to understand how and the whys, and throwing the actual data behind it. I can't do that because I've never measured that. But I actually have the remote viewing handbook here. We have a pretty extensive library here, and it's one of my favorite topics. And I used to have this chat room. This is oh my gosh, I don't ask me the time frame. I'll start telling my age. But they used to have this chat room. This is back when dial-up was the big thing, and I used to love to go in there, and we would have these long, lengthy conversations on different theories. And I love the aspect of remote viewing. Too much evidence supports it, but I don't have any data to back it up.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Amy. What are your thoughts then on time travel? Oh, my favorite subject, man.
I know. Wait. Matter of fact, the other night when we were talking about this 8.99 second variance, you said, well, technically you time traveled. Well, I wouldn't call it that, but technically you're right. But okay, I'm going to look at it from two different lenses on this question. One is the philosophical, more along the lines of the metaphysical aspect, which would be that time doesn't exist in that realm, ethereally or astrally. So with that being the case, then time travel is a normality of consciousness. However, time travel in the concept of traveling through time, I'm going to have to lean toward Einstein's theory on this. In other words, if you're trying to time travel, aside from the paradox aspects, and I think the amount of energy that would actually that we know that would take to do this would be very difficult, and it wouldn't be possible. Now, sometime in the future, whatever, then there's that possibilities, but I can only speak to what we do know. So, so that aspect, no.
I think time travel is happening. There's a lot of interesting points of it. And look, when I say I think it's happening, this is purely speculation and want on my part. It really is. I want to believe there are immortals. I want to believe there are time travelers visiting here on vacation. It makes me wonder what else could be out there. I think it makes for interesting conversation that we have.
I'm chuckling because of that whole thing. If aliens, were flying by the Earth right now, they're locking their doors. But it's the same concept of time travelers. Can you imagine them popping up right now, going, "Oops, wrong one," or it might be the concept of you got to slow down to see the train wreck. I mean, that's
well. It also makes you wonder if time travelers come to this timeline and say, "Nope, this is too wild out here. I'm out."
Yeah.
I'm out. I don't need any of that.
I mean, I find it actually fascinating. I've seen a lot of the photographs, but I really have a hard time accepting it, only because of basically law of relativity. That's why I have a hard time with it. I love the idea behind it, and I agree with you. I think it's actually fascinating to me, but at the same time, I really struggle with it. So,
all right, next question here. Let's go to Ross. Non-linear. Do you mean, is that your conclusion, that this is all non-linear?
No. It's a theory based off of different philosophical papers, and only on the aspect of the metaphysical. When you start looking at the aspect of ethereal and astral and mental, time is different in those different aspects. Now, as far as measuring time, time is a measurement that we created to be able to perceive, what's going on around us. So when it comes to, like in this case with the DT meter measuring the time difference, then that's where it kind of throws a monkey wrench in it, because when I turn around and I'm assuming, I'm using that word, that time is set at that time frame, and then the DT meter is actually measuring the difference. That's where I have a problem with the concept of that time can't be bent.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go to T-Bone. Have you ever had any hitchhikers or hitchhikers come through your equipment?
No, I've never had that issue. Personally, this is once again a personal opinion. Whenever, like in this case, that's why we always make that proclamation. We do this without fear or prejudice. If you're going in with fear using this type of equipment, yeah, you're probably going to create that aspect or attract. So, but we've never had that situation.
How about with the many spirits that are roaming around your property? Because I mean, you're pretty much an electric beacon of light, attracting them in from all over.
We do have a lot of activity here at the building, and it goes on all the time. But the way we look at it is that that's activity that's the normal. We don't look at it as something that's threatening or one of the worst things I can't stand. And this is just, I'm probably going to offend somebody with this statement, is when somebody comes in here and says, I need to move them onto the light. And then I get all upset. No, this is, when we say this is a safe place for all, we mean it.
you know, I am so against the whole move on to the light crowd. I really am. And I'm not going to get upset with that. I had a very dark psychic come into our museum when I was doing my ghost tours there to help raise money for the museum. And she literally took my most popular spirit who loved the tour. Okay. Absolutely loved the tour, loved the people, would allow people such as you or anybody who is on the tour to actually come in and touch her energy field. Okay. Like, she was that pleasant. Well, this lady tried to cross her over, but didn't cross her over properly. And that spirit has never been the same since. Never been the same.
Well,
she doesn't even want to participate on the tour anymore.
Well, we've had there was a couple of psychics here. We rent out the space, and we actually don't rent it out. We just tell people they can use the main area, and if they want to make a donation, they can. And there was a couple of psychics that wanted to come in here, and one of them in particularly was offering a free reading. And I was like, kind of pushed Allison, said, how about it? And so Allison's sitting there, and she was trying to do the cold reading with her, and wasn't getting anywhere. And then immediately deflected, and she goes, I see a spirit here, and they want me to move them onto the light. And Allison stood up and says, we don't believe that here. If they're here, they want to be here, and they have free will, and you don't have that right. So, yeah, that was the last time they were allowed to come back.
But don't you think a lot of people who do that are trying to show off?
Well, this one was definitely deflection. It's, you know, I'm not getting anywhere with my cold reading. I need, you know, I need to deflect and get away from this whole conversation and use a distraction. So, but yes, unfortunately, a lot of people do that for the show, the Carney show, you know.
I hear you. All right, let's move on to another question here. Let's go to necessary dialogue. He's been waiting a while. How fragile then do you think the timeline is?
I don't know. I'm not even going to even try to pretend like I have a clue. Um, I have no idea. Uh, because really, honestly, timeline wise, I've never measured, never explored. But as far as reading on it, tons of reading on it, but I don't even want to make an assumption on that because there's so many different papers on the timeline, and some I don't agree with, and some I do. And just to point out, I always encourage everyone to always read some material that you know for a fact you're going to disagree with, um, because it's great to get a different objective point of view. And yeah, you may not even finish it, like in what I was just saying, but it's great to get that different point of view on something, even though you know for a fact you're going to disagree with it. And there's been a lot of these papers on timeline that I disagree with completely, but still like to read them, but I'm not even going to try because I can't. I can't even pretend like I know.
Blue Cruz is asking, any plans for a face-to-face battle of the beards duel to the death where the winner takes the loser's beard home for a wall mount to display another conquest towards becoming the only beard left? My God, he's calling for a beard quickening.
I would lose. I will just let you know, Blue, that I will lose.
I don't think so, man. So
Unless
for our radio fans that are listening in right now, Blue Cruz's question is very, very dynamic because it literally puts my beard against Matt's beard. It's that's going to be like Velcro. If they came together, we'd never be able to pry it apart.
oh,
And then some ugly scissors would get involved and have to trim.
Then that's when the fight would actually break out.
You got that right. Matt and I need to stay at least 12 feet apart so our beards do not collide in any anger or violence.
Well, especially in the wintertime when all the static is so strong.
I have a hard enough time with my beard not getting stuck in my microphone cover.
Yeah, mine's zippers.
Right? 7 minutes to go. Matt Lay is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Matt, does your equipment that you are developing also work for UFOs and potential ET contact?
That's the hope. The reason being is because, once again, paranormal is a blanket term, for multiple aspects. And it'd be great to be able to make one wrench that fixes everything. And we also know that's not a possibility in this. But the new design, the smaller version of this, that's what I'm actually hoping for, is more of a better form of communication, or an attractor is something that sends almost like out of a beacon to say, look, I'm right here, communicate. Now, getting that two-way communication is the tricky part, like I said before, because so many variables.
Do you think we have the technology capable of communication with ETs?
Yes, I think we do. My problem is, and this is my personal problem, is access to it.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm not sure the U.S. government wants to give that up.
Well, I've been wondering, when you're ordering multiple high-powered magnets and a lot of copper coils and high-powered transformers, and I'm surprised I haven't had somebody knocking on my door.
Well, the way the Canadian government's working right now, they can't afford Men in Black, so we're pretty safe with that.
Fair enough.
Right? Will you guys separate? Who knows? If they do, I'm moving with you, buddy. You get room for me. Let's go to Luscious Jules here. What is your opinion on paranormal healing?
I might have to ask for a little bit more clarification on that. Because if you're talking like Reiki, or if you're talking, I'll probably need some more clarification, because there are a lot of different aspects of healing in the paranormal.
It's the idea that spiritual, energetic, or even unexplained forces can play a role in restoring balance, peace, and harmony within the body and help it heal.
I can only give personal accounts. And that personal accounts, like when we just did this test, there was an individual that was one of the participants, and they just got through with a major surgery, and they were actually struggling. And after we ran the equipment and everything else, and everybody's synced up mentally, that was in their account that there was no, they had no pain. They were able to function. They were actually able to sleep that night. Another individual who has a spinal injury that was in there. I'm not saying these are replacement for doctors. I'm just stating what happened. They said for the next day they had no pain, although that pain did return. But whether this is a pseudo effect or that I can't tell you. But all I know is their personal accounts were stating that. So to say yes, I can only speak to those personal accounts. Were they healed? No, they still had pain over time. So,
all right, man. We're done with audience questions for tonight, as we only got about 3 minutes left. This is flying on by, man.
I know.
It's flown on by. You have a lot of projects going. This isn't the only thing you do. You also have your own online music station that you created. You have the Mudutu Effect. Tell us about those.
Cosmos Astrum Radio, we run that 24/7. Different broadcasters, a wide variety of music. Look it up, cosmosastrumradio.ca, and of course the Mudutu Effect, SOTG, Saskatchewan Occult Technology Group. It's where we bring in not only science, but we also bring in the aspect of old manuscripts, and we start deep diving into those. And of course the Mudutu.ca site. And then we also manufacture incense and candles. We supply multiple stores across Canada. And there's quite a bit going on at all times. And I'm on most of the broadcast.
You're a busy guy. I don't know how you do it, but your addiction to trying to create technology and wonderment to this community to take it to that next step forward is definitely worth a pat on your back, my friend.
I appreciate it. All the electric shocks that I get are well worth it.
You got to start filming some of those and making some reels on it.
Some gag reels.
When do you expect your next project to be complete?
Well, the one that I'm working on right now will be ready this week for beta testing. The reduced version of this beast behind me, I'm probably looking at about 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. Well, that'll be good. Keep me in touch with that.
Oh, yeah, I definitely will. You're going to be one of my biggest testers with it.
Well, the unfortunate part for me is my area is pretty much done for the year. Well, not the year. Yes, this year. But I won't be able to get in there until the snow melts in April.
Yeah, true. Well, at least I tend to make something, then I revamp it, and then I revamp it again. This is the 12th version, so
oh, it's another 12 more.
Yeah, exactly.
What's another 12 more? Matt, it is always a pleasure to have the opportunity to talk with you. I'm blessed to be able to call you a very good friend of not only mine, but of Spaced Out Radios. You and your beautiful wife, Allison, are just incredible people. Thank you for coming on the show tonight. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller. Then Robin Haynes with the Q&A, so get your questions ready.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great show, my man. Great show.
That was awesome.
You were one of a kind, and I love you for it.
Wish my mama said that.
Oh, brother. Let's talk soon, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, my friend. You take
Thank
care.
you.
Say good night to Allison. Give her a big hug for us. See you guys. Matt Lay, everybody. I love him. Absolutely love him and his wife, Allison. They are just two of the most incredible people. All right, guys. I'll be right back. back. Let's bring the Robinator back in. Hi, Robin.
Hey, Guy. How are you?
Good. How are you, my dear?
I'm good.
All right. Good. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I'm trying to adjust the sound. You got a little bit of kickback coming in there, so.
Okay. We got about 35 seconds, and then we'll get to Swamp Dweller. Thank you to T-Bone for a great super chat and gifting a membership. Thank you to Jeff Steve Garvey, who will hit a home run for you. And yeah, remember, you can also get tickets for CaribouCon. Go to cariboucon.com, get your VIP tickets. They're there. T-Bone, you got to get you and your wife up here. You need to. September 18th to 20th, up here in the Caribou. Thanks, Paramarv. Here we go, everybody. Here comes the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ultra Crepidate. Ultra Crepidate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night, right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
Nearly 9 years ago, a cruel act of violence ended the life of Greg Hart before his time. It was March 13th, 2010, and Greg Hart was hanging at a local bar named the Red Room. Little did anyone close to Greg know, this would be his last night out on the town. Greg was seen leaving the Red Room bar around 1:40 a.m., where he was alleged to have walked to a nearby IHOP restaurant, which was apparently a spot he would frequent. After this, his friends claimed they didn't see or hear from him for 2 days, which he was subsequently found dead in the Woonasquatucket River by his friends and family who were searching for his whereabouts. Greg had been stabbed to death. He had multiple defense wounds on his body, showing he did put up a great struggle. His phone was found smashed into 3 pieces. He was found floating along the riverbank, and the police ruled his death as an accidental drowning due to him being so intoxicated. They tried to explain his defense wounds are nothing more than wounds from a drunken fall. His friends and family refused to believe it was a drowning, though. Greg was a certified driver and a very strong swimmer. Being drunk could impair that, but it still just seems a bit too fishy. Greg's grandfather took pictures of his body before it was embalmed and found that he had a broken eye socket, a damaged nose, and cuts on his hands and bruising on his hips. He also had odd, small holes on each shin, clear signs of an altercation. At the time of his disappearance, the Red Room nightclub was owned by the wife of a Providence police detective. His family feels his case was never investigated properly because of a conflict of interest. Another detective also owned the land on which the bar sat. Is it possible, like many other cases covered on this channel in the past, that police could be covering up something? Conflicting evidence about the phone found on Greg had caused the case to move slowly. The phone was in the water for a subsequential amount of time, the police said, which made it unusable, and the texts and calls on the phone are lost. But couldn't they just take a look at phone records for that? Until this day, though, the death of Greg Hart remains unsolved.
Another creepy story by Swamp Dweller. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Hit subscribe, ring that bell. You got thousands of stories to entertain you each and every day and night. Time for the cryptid Q&A. Let's bring in our favorite, Robin Haynes.
Robin Haynes walks soft where the tall trees sway. She hears Bigfoot whisper what the wind won't say. Through the veil of the forest where the wild man plays, the Bigfoot psychic talks to Sasquatch every day. Only on Spaced Out Radio's Cryptid Q&A.
Robin Haynes, we love it when you are here. Thank you again for joining us. How are you, my beautiful friend?
I am great. Thank you for having me. I love being here every week. I look forward to it.
I
And
love it. that
you
you're here.
have some of the best listeners. Like, they are always so kind. They come up with great questions. So it's always fun.
Well, we're glad that you are here as well. And as you know, I went back to Flight 21
Yes.
for the final time this past weekend. And it'll be my final time for 2025. And I won't be able to get there until the spring of 2026. And, I got to tell you, I did some reminiscing when I was there. And it felt like so much unfinished business
Yeah.
was going on there. I knew they were there, could feel them.
Mm-hmm.
There were areas they didn't want us to go. But there's a couple of things that I did notice. The gifting site was not touched, which does not surprise me. We did find about 5 juvenile tracks.
Nice.
Yeah, including one very deep one. And I didn't have my casting equipment on, but it was very, very deep. It was very nice. I'm sure it was smaller than what it actually came out as a photograph, because the snow had melted a little bit.
Yeah, you sent me that. That was fantastic.
Yeah, but I mean, you could definitely see a heel imprint
Hmm.
on that. So it was nice to see that, you have called it many a times over the last year about the kids that were there. You call them the kids or the juveniles,
Yeah.
that were hanging around. So it was good to see. We didn't see any adult prints, but we did see that.
Yeah. They were ready for you to get there, because when you had called, I started talking to them, and that white one, the black one, and the like a light tan sandy colored one, the three of them were at the back. And that white one hangs up front a lot. And he was walking around that way, but he wasn't all the way up there when I talked to him. But they were glad that you were back.
I was very glad to be there. Very
It,
glad to be there. And it was nice.
it felt calm. Like, I checked out, over where the spirits are usually at and stuff, and and nobody seemed to be really, acting out or not in a good way. Or, I mean, everything was very nice and calm. Like, I figured you'd have a good experience, because it just was nice and relaxed when I checked it out.
Yeah, it was very calm. It was very nice. We did find some right by the juvenile. We did find a track, like there. If you have the one trail going past a shrub on the left, that's where the juvenile track was, and the
Hmm.
path on the right, there was mountain lion tracks going through there.
Yeah, that mountain lion hangs out in that area. Like, I've seen it there a couple different times when, like, I've checked it, and it seems to hang out in that area. It's got to be, got a food source through there somewhere, because it hangs around.
Yeah, we caught her on trail cam, and she is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, they're
Absolutely.
gorgeous cats. They are just stunning. When I lived
Yeah.
in Michigan, we had one that would jump over the back fence and come into the property, and the farmer behind us had seen it every time. It was a big male, and would call me and say, "Hey, we just saw him. He just cleared your fence. He's back in your property." And I'm like, "Okay." He hung around that area. There was a female like a quarter of a mile up the road that had cubs. So I'm pretty sure that they had met up at some point in time.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. The other thing that we did notice when we were there, and I took my wife's friend up there because she wanted to go check it on out.
Yeah,
And
she seemed lovely.
she was lovely, absolutely lovely to hang out with for that day. And we got up there. She was very nervous at times, but she was very interested. And I had to tell her point blank, hey, you found a footprint. We found some footprints. Take some pictures.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. And so she did take a few pictures, and she was pretty happy. She left one of her bracelets, a little
Oh, how sweet.
beaded bracelet on the tree. She just did it.
Nice.
And I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh, you're leaving a bracelet? She goes, yeah. I said, good.
They seemed to like her. They were very relaxed about her being there. Like they were watching because, they didn't know her really well, but they were very relaxed about her. So she had definitely, a good vibration for them because they didn't seem overly stressed.
Good. But the other weird thing that I noticed was I check the poo pile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when Tim and I found that pile of feces, that was, I believe, back in July, August.
Yeah.
When we found it. And what amazes me about it, Robin, is I see droppings from every other animal up there. I've seen bear droppings. I've seen moose droppings, deer droppings, okay, coyote droppings, mountain lion droppings. I've seen it all up there. And they all biodegrade.
Yeah.
Guess what hasn't biodegraded?
Really?
It is still there in all shape and form.
Isn't that wild?
And I am absolutely blown away by it. I am stunned. I don't know why it hasn't biodegraded, but
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of anything like that. That's wild.
yeah, I mean, I really don't know why it hasn't broken down. It's still sitting there. It hasn't moved. It's darkened a little bit. Okay, but it hasn't biodegraded into what you would expect. And I found other feces piles from animals, and you could see where it was breaking down. And there was no breakdown of any of this. Like, I don't know whether it ate too much Taco Bell before getting out there or what have you, but it is absolutely weird that this feces that we believe was dropped by a Sasquatch has not broken down whatsoever.
So weird. I wonder if it has, and I have no way of knowing. This is just a guess. If it has anything to do with like the type of acid or whatever is in their stomach and goes through their bowel tract. Maybe it's just the digestive juices are different. I have no idea. And it's really intriguing because this is the first time I've ever heard of that happening.
Yeah. And it was so strange yet amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe it when I was there trying to figure out, how is this even happening? How is this not biodegraded? It's been there for over 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, you would think that by now it would have already been just gone.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen piles that disappear. You go back there a week or two later and it's pretty
much gone.
Right? Not 3 months of the same stuff.
Yeah, that's really incredible. And now that, you believe it or not, as weird as it sounds, I would love to know why. It's got to be something in their body chemistry that, it doesn't break it down. I don't know. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm going to give Daryl Denton and others a phone call.
Yeah, Daryl might know.
Yeah. I need to figure that part out. It's a mystery that I just do not understand.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get hold of anybody that would know too.
Yeah, let's do that. I got a couple audience questions here.
Sure.
Start off with Blue Cruise. Is there any credence to the eyewitness sightings of the Sasquatch people, dogmen, and other cryptids beings playing their own version of any type of sports?
There actually is. They will get things to play ball. They'll throw it back and forth. Absolutely. They will make toys for their kids out of various things. Whether it's, I mean, Janice Carter has a phenomenal picture. I got to give her credit for it, where they made a ball, had a feather in it, whatever. And, you know, her group used it with the kids. They would, at my place, even as crazy as it sounds, they'll get pine cones and they'll play toss the pine cones. They'll toss pine cones back and forth to each other all day long. But they'll get dirt and mud and pack it in. They'll make a ball out of it. I've never heard of anybody that would be like a baseball, you know, where they're whacking it with a bat or anything like that. But basic, simple things, they absolutely do. They would go, my daughter, when she was little, we had all, you know, the Sasquatch kids were always running around. And there was quite a few of them. And so she took out buckets and she put little toys of hers that she would play with in McDonald's toys and stuff, and took it out there in a cloth doll that she left for the kids, and they played with them. They took them. And it was when that movie How to Train Your Dragon came out, and it had one of the How to Train Your Dragon little toys from McDonald's. And they were obsessed with that thing. They had that little dragon for 2 years. They took it out of the bucket. We didn't see it for 2 years. Had a bonfire one night by the fire pit. We went out the next day, and they had pulled up. We had the cement blocks that were actually cemented to a cement slab, and that's where the bonfire pit was. They broke the cement blocks off of the cement slab, took them about 3-4 feet away from the slab, put them in a circle, these concrete blocks, and then they put the dragon in the middle of the circle like they were making a cage to keep the dragon in. I have pictures of it. It was the craziest thing ever. But they loved that toy.
What do they play with?
Anything.
When they're
I mean, what?
When they're out in the forest, what are they playing with? Are they playing with animals? Are they playing with?
Yeah.
Are they making? You know,
They're just as inquisitive as our kids. First off, they use every animal out in the woods as a pet, whether it's a raccoon. I have one at my new place that has a bobcat as a pet. You know, any animal that's out there that they want to use as a pet, they will use as a pet. I've seen them with foxes. I've seen them with possums. I've seen them with raccoons. I mean, it really, whatever they want, they can, between mind control and taming it down because of frequency, they can make anything into a pet. And they will. The coyotes, they're forever getting coyotes and keeping them as a pet dog. As far as what they'll find out there, they'll take pine cones and play with the pine cones. You know, it's not unheard of where you see the kids playing with sticks, just like our kids are out there playing with sticks, you know, and they're whacking each other with them and they're whipping them back and forth and, you know, like sword fighting. They're playing, they're being children. And anything they can find out there to play with, they will. Now, they used to steal my kids' basketballs and footballs. They didn't know what they were for. They just knew they looked fun. And we would find the footballs, and it would look like somebody put a football in one hand and then just squeezed it. And it literally just caved it all in and popped it. And it would be totally demolished. But you could see that they did it with one hand. You could see thumbprints on it that were dirty or whatever. And they had taken the basketball, because I had the garage door open one day, and that's how they got the balls out of the garage. And the basketball was gone for the longest time. The kids finally found it in the field next to the house, and it literally looked like they had tried to bite it like an apple. Like they literally just took a bite off the side of it like you would take an apple and bite it. It was crazy. But yeah, they will play with anything they can. Like I said, my daughter used to put toys out for them all the time, and they loved it. Absolutely loved it. I kept, especially in the wintertime, I had like old blankets and stuff I'd put out there, and they dragged those blankets all over the place. I had a cloth doll because I just like with a typical little child, you worry about, the eyes coming off and them getting them in their mouth or whatever. It was a cloth doll. The eyes and nose and mouth were embroidered on it. And there was one of the little kids that drug that thing all over the woods. I had a friend that brought out a hula hoop that lit up when you made it go around. And she said, let's just see what they do with it. And I was like, okay. And so I put it out by where all the other stuff was at, because they had a whole section of stuff they played with. And you would look out there at night and they'd be running through the woods with that hula hoop. They didn't know how to use a hula hoop, but they knew that when they shook it, when they moved it, when they tossed it around, it would make it light up. They loved it. They loved it at Christmas time. I would put a boombox out there with Christmas music, and I would get glow sticks, obsessed with glow sticks. A friend of mine, Bob Daigle, tremendous human being, and the Sasquatch love him, and he would bring out glow sticks for me, and they were obsessed with them. They will literally play with anything, and I had the candy canes that you push into the ground that you would put up and down like your walkway. They would take off with those things all the time. I'd find them all over the place. They play consistently. They are always playing with something. The adults, not quite so much. They would still play with things, but those kids, they would play with everything they could get their hands on.
Well, they're children after all.
Yeah, exactly. And they had a ball. I was very careful about when my kids put toys out, if it was something that I would think it was baby proof, because of the mentality that they would have. But they had all kinds of stuff out there. They never lacked for something to play with. And they would take my kids' toys too and play.
What's with their curiosity?
Oh, I think
is it just all of them that are curious, or
Yeah.
is it just the younger ones?
No, I think it's all of them. The kids are more curious as far as, I want to play with it. I want to touch it. I want to play with it. I want to see what it is. The adults are more curious as a safety hazard. Now, some things they just like to play with. They think it was cool to play with. But most of the adults, what I observed at my place was, if it was something new, it had to be thoroughly investigated. Was this something that was going to hurt the clan? Was this something they should be aware of? I had, my friend Bob had given me a VHS recorder. He said, see if you can get any footage of them. I'm like, yeah, okay, like that's going to go well. So I put it out in the yard, but I put it in a clothes basket so it was covered to see what they would do. What I got was a video of all these sticks being stuck into the clothes basket, whacking on this video cam. Every now and then you could see a dark shape go running across the yard. But because I had it sitting out there, just in the yard in case they would run around or walk around. And I did get a couple of pictures of them walking around, but you could hear the sticks getting whacked on that. I mean, they had a ball with anything you put out there.
That's very interesting. We got about a minute to go before we have to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Robin Haynes and the Cryptid Q&A continuing here on Spaced Out Radio. The curiosity, though, I mean, does that curiosity ever get, in what we would perceive as humans, violent?
I think that it could. I think if the adults felt that it was something that was dangerous for the family, I think it absolutely could. It's like the trail cams, they tolerate them, but you can get a certain adult in there that they think that's going to hurt somebody, they're going to shred that thing. For the most part, no, it's not a dangerous situation. But if they feel that it's something that could be viewed as a threat, then yeah, it could very easily. I've not had them get violent out of curiosity. I've had things get broken, not because they were trying to be destructive, but because they were playing with it. It's like, dealing with Bam Bam Rubble on the Flintstones. They've got superhuman strength, so they're having a good time.
I thought, Robin. Robin Haynes of the Cryptid Q&A happens every week at this time. We'll be right back for the next half hour.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Robin, we are clear.
Good.
Fun times.
Yeah. Yeah, they break stuff, but the ones that I've had around, they didn't break stuff to break it to be bad. They would play with stuff and things would get broken, just like a child would.
Yeah.
And it's like in my garage, I have a pen for the mini pigs. And at one time, I had kennels in there for the dogs, which all my dogs are house dogs now, but there were kennels there. And they wanted to be in there and play with them in the worst way. And they literally took the bottom panel of the garage door and bent it, pushed it in until it broke the wheels on the garage door track. And it pushed it open enough like a flap. And they just did the belly crawl and came right in the garage. I came back home and everybody was let out of pens. There was muddy footprints all over the place. None of the animals were hurt. They didn't destroy the garage or anything. I mean, the animals were just loose and there was the footprints there. I mean, we knew what had done it. And when I had went into town, the garage door was perfectly intact. Did they do it to break it? No, they did it because they wanted to come in to see what was going on. I've had several things that in the middle of playtime with them, like my hose, I had it in one of those boxes that you have a crank on it and you can roll it all up. They wanted the hose out. They were thirsty. They wanted the hose out and they were forever turning the hose on at night. I mean, that was a normal thing. I'd go out there and you could see muddy footprints, but then the backyard was flooded because they never turned it back off. But I had it wrapped up in that thing one day and they couldn't understand what that was. And in trying to figure out what it was, they ended up breaking it. I mean, it's kind of like a giant sized child that, will play and things get broken while they're playing. But to just go in and totally destroy stuff, I've never had that happen. I had one that went under the deck and was playing and doing the belly crawl under the deck and decided he'd sit up, put his head right up through the bottom of the deck. Broke a board out of my deck because he put his head up through it.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, they weren't out there like, I'm going to attack this and destroy it. It wasn't any different than when my kids were growing up and, would be playing and something would get broken here or there.
Right. We got about 2.5 minutes, Robin.
Okay.
Yeah. That's good times.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's just hysterical. You see the crazy things they do, the goofy things they do. It's like they climb on my roof all the time. And the one end of the house has a very peaked roof, and they're pushing off with their feet as they're climbing up and down it. And they end up, every now and then you'll see where, one of the shingles gets pulled down because they pushed off of it with their foot.
Right.
They're not up there tearing the place apart, but climbing up and down stuff happens. So now when they get up there and I hear them, I'm usually the first one outside going, you will get your hairy tushes off the roof and you will do it now.
Right. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty funny. They can come up with some crazy stuff, that's for sure. And they will not quit with the handprints all over my car. Like, I don't know what the obsession with the car is.
Did I send you the photo of my friend that he sent me about the handprint?
No, I don't think you did.
Oh, shit. I'm going to do that right now.
Yeah, it's always amazing to me. Like I said, they aren't the ones that I've been fortunate enough to interact with. I don't have them trying to destroy things. A little bit of damage here and there playing around because they just don't seem to understand their strength. They just don't. But I don't have anything where they're like blatantly just trying to tear things apart.
Right.
Oh, that's a good print.
We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes. T-Bone, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for gifting a membership at Jeff Steve Garvey. Thank you so much for your super chat. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. I don't know what our count's at yet for tonight, but give us a thumbs up. And if you could do us a favor, after the show. Leave a comment. We're trying to get unshadow banned, and that really helps us getting out with audience participation. So thank you very much. And we're going to get back going here in about 3 seconds. All right, we're into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Robin Haynes and the Cryptid Q&A continuing momentarily, because we love it when Robin is here hanging on out with us. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you know our archives are always free. Go grab them on Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the podcast networks, YouTube as well. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. She's Robin Haynes. I'm Dave Scott. This is the Cryptid Q&A, and we're having some fun here tonight. Before we get to more audience questions, Robin, I want to get your opinion on something here.
Sure.
So a friend of mine named Jim came to me at the hockey arena the other day because our boys play hockey together. And he's like, Dave, did you get the picture that I sent you? And I said, no. And he goes, well, let me send it to you. So for background, Jim is a logging truck driver. He works from about 3 o'clock in the morning until 3 in the afternoon every day. And that's what loggers do around here, and God bless them for it. So when Jim gets to work around 2:45, 3 o'clock, the first thing that he has to do when he gets to the job site out in the mountains where his semi-truck is parked is he has to do an inspection, make sure everything's running, all the hoses are not leaking, checks the oil, checks the gas. And as he was checking the oil, he noticed a giant handprint on the back of his truck. Now, the handprint is facing down. It looks like it's a right hand that it's pushing down on the equipment. You can see the palm. You can see the long 4 fingers. You can see where the thumb would be, and the thumb actually slipping on it. What do you think of this, Robin?
I love it. And I'll tell you why. And maybe it's just because I'm looking at it because you had sent it to me. Maybe it's the way I'm looking at it. But it does to me. I agree with you. It's the right hand. The first thing I notice, and I see this very commonly with handprints from them, is where that thumb goes to the first finger. Like if you open ours up, it's L-shaped to a degree. But if you notice on this print and on other ones, and I have a really excellent print of them where they put it on one of the pillows in my house, there's such an open area there because they can extend that thumb opened more so than we can. Like when we do it, it does look like an L, but when they do it, they really can open that spot between that thumb and first finger up. We're not capable of that kind of opening, of the joints there. Then you look at the length of the fingers. There's no way that's one of ours. It is just not possible. So I love it. I think it's a really, really good print. I'm not surprised because I know how they get around the logging crews. Regardless if they're, good or bad, it doesn't matter. That's not anything against your friend. It's just I know how they get around the logging crews. They're very resentful of them. They like to play with the equipment and mess with it. So I think it's a really good print. And then when you look over where it would be considered like a pinky finger, again, you can see where there's a space almost between the finger prior to it, and then the pinky goes down. The other thing, when you look at fingerprints, and I don't see it on this one, which is not uncommon, but if you are able to get dermal ridges on a fingerprint, if you look at our fingerprints, they're wavier. There's more swirls in it. Not even complete circle, but, it's swirled, and you can tell it's our fingerprint, our thumbprint. When you look at a Sasquatch print, and again, you guys remember everybody's thumbprint's different. It's like your own signature. But you tend to have more horizontal dermal ridges. You don't have the circles. You can have some that are wavy, possible, but they're very different than our type human dermal ridges. So when you look at your handprints and the fingerprints, that's how you're going to be able to ID, is that one of our people or one of theirs? As far as I'm concerned, this would definitely be what I would consider a Sasquatch print. Just because of the placement of the fingers, the space between the fingers, and the length of it.
Now, those fingers look to be about 4 to 5 inches long. Now, the reason why I'm able to measure that is, for people on radio, you're not going to see this, but in this photo, what it does is there's a white sticker on a piece of metal. And that white sticker, according to my friend Jim, is about the size of an iPhone.
Oh, okay.
So to place a measurement in there, an iPhone is about 2.5 inches long. Right there, it's about 2.5 inches. Okay, so if you measure that to the fingers, we're looking at about 4.5 to 5 inch fingers.
Mm-hmm. Well, also look at the length of the palm.
Yes.
Going back towards the wrist. You know, we have a shorter range from the middle of our palm to the bottom of our hand than they do. Theirs is a lot longer. I just think there's a lot of points on this that would make me, and does make me, lean towards it being a Sasquatch one. Really.
I love it.
It's really a good picture. It really is. It turned out fabulous.
All right. Well, let's move on here, and I appreciate getting your opinion on that.
Well, thanks. Yeah, that was a good picture.
Let's go to Jerence. Jerence is asking, have you heard of any sightings of Bigfoot reported during the Revolutionary War or the Civil War by soldiers fighting in the wild wooded area?
To tell you the exact war that I've heard it on, I really can't, but I have heard rumors of various wars. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing too is, like, if you go to various places where they have, like, even Gettysburg, there's reports of seeing them by the grave sites. Like, they hang around cemeteries to begin with, but where the wars have been, yeah, there's been several reports that I've seen, whether I've looked it up, Googled it or whatever, heard somebody talk about it. And yeah, I mean, well, look at even in Vietnam. During the Vietnam War, there were sightings all over the place.
Yes.
So absolutely. In my personal opinion, I can't imagine that there was any war that we've had that they were not around. Okay, when you're at war, you have all this frequency of people, and again, everything's frequency. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's the truth. And you've got all this frequency that's negative, and it's down because of the fighting. And that will anger them, that will enrage them. They're going to want to know why, because it makes them uncomfortable. So they're going to want to check it out. But when we're fighting, no matter what the war is, no matter the location, we tend to forget that they live there too. So while we're fighting, we're also, I mean, not that what we're doing isn't important, but it affects them greatly. It's also their land. It's not just ours. And so now this is going on in the area where they have their families and their children. They are going to be around. They're absolutely going to be there. But yeah, there are different sightings of it. Absolutely.
Well, it's funny that Jerence asks that, because on Lon Strickler's phantomsandmonsters.com, he actually posted a story about a Civil War sighting.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to read this, okay, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So Lon said during March of last year, this is part of the letter, okay? Let me just get this straight here, because I just pulled this up for you guys. All right. So this is from a letter from about, I think the 1800s, okay? Yeah, late 1800s. In 1999, a collection of autographs and old letters was appraised and authenticated for an estate sale in Hartford, Connecticut. Among the enormous assortment were several letters written by Union soldiers during the Civil War. A few of these letters were penned by Private James Moore of the Pennsylvania 67th Infantry Regiment, Company K. The letters were addressed to his wife Ida in Philadelphia. One particular letter described an incident with Private Moore while he was on guard duty in Harper's Ferry, then part of Virginia, on February 26, 1863. Some of the text had been copied and forwarded to Lon by the appraiser due to its unusual content. Although the auction catalog contained complete text, it was lost in a 2005 fire at the appraiser's home. Here is one of the excerpts that Lon had received. So this excerpt from the letter goes as follows. Ramsey and I were tasked with guarding company accoutrements along the railway on a frigid, still night. The boys started making a ruckus in the garrison. Some were yelling that a man-beast was on the loose. There was rifle fire directed towards the river. We continued our duty as the yelling and shots persisted. The corporal questioned the witnesses from the company. I was told that the creature raided the food stores after climbing the wall. It was covered in thick layers of dark hair, maybe 8 feet tall from head to toe. How interesting is that?
I love it. I love it. Yeah, like I said, there's no place that they aren't. And so, like, when there's fighting going on, it's in those situations, they're going to send some of their people there to watch because they're close to their families, they're close to their children. You know, they're highly protective, and they're going to want to know what all the commotion is. So, absolutely, I think that they would be there.
Here's some from Confederate encounters. A Tennessee soldier's camp journal from 1862 described a hairy giant that howled like a panther near their picket line along the Cumberland Plateau. A Virginia rifleman at Gauley Bridge, writing in 1861 of the wild man of the woods that stole a ham from our sutler, which locals claimed had been haunting the area for years. A North Carolina enlisted man's memory recorded in the 1890s about a mountain wild man that walked on 2 legs, larger than any bear, that prowled near the winter camp in the Smokies. And let's see if there's any more here. A Missouri freedman recalled the hairy giant that lived in the woods above the river bottom that the soldiers feared more than the rebels. A Kentucky woman remembered a big, wild, hairy man who stole chickens and cornmeal during the wartime years. I mean, there's all sorts of these little encounters that we don't even think about.
Yeah, yeah. They get involved in everything, and they are everywhere.
And a big thank you to Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com for those stories. All right, let's go to Jules here. She says, I've noticed that you often describe Sasquatch in a very childlike way. Do you think they are, or do you think they are intelligent in a grown-up fashion?
I think it's actually a little bit of both, to be honest with you. They are highly, highly intelligent. They are highly evolved. People don't realize that. They can be the most mature thing on the planet, but as a higher frequency being, their emotions run high. If you're high frequency, you love deeper, you get mad quicker, you are sadder, all your emotions are heightened. And when they get to that level, it can be more childlike. They also don't, well, they have patience to stand behind a tree and not move so we don't know they're there. And they will stand there for hours on end. And they will have the patience like you've never seen. But yet, let them make each other mad. And they have the quickest temper you've ever seen, just like a toddler. So I don't believe, the rumors of they're autistic. I've seen too much from them. I don't believe that for a single second. But I do believe, and I don't believe that they have the mentality of a child. But some of their actions, they actually kind of revert that way because they are a higher frequency. Their emotions are so quick. They're so fresh and they're so heightened that at times they can behave in that manner. I had two that got in an absolute fight over literally a candy bar, a 3-inch little mini candy bar that a friend had sat out for them. And the one grabbed it and it was left for the other, and they were going to fight to the death. I mean, it reminded me of my boys when they were little, and then other times they are so much more mature than even our people would be. So it really depends on the situation and the emotion involved within that situation.
I believe they are a very intelligent creature. I don't know if they're of human capability of understanding like like we know they have their own language. We know that they have, some of them apparently have the ability to create fire. They're not
Yeah.
very advanced
Not in our ways. They have, it's a cultural thing. In their culture, they are more advanced and skilled in some things than we are. As far as working as one, like with the law of Ra, through the collective consciousness, through the higher frequencies, we are idiots compared to them. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just the truth. In other ways, like if you go by the things in our culture, they're more uncivilized because it's a cultural thing. It's the world that they live in opposed to the world that we live in. We can't go step into their world and keep up with what they do and what they know about the quantum physics, about, the frequencies and using the energies and using the paranormal and thought processing and, how they figure everything out the way they do. But then if they were to have to focus and step into our world and live by our rules, they would slack as well because it is a cultural problem. Our words don't mean the same as theirs. They do not have a clear understanding why we do the things that we do. But in the same regard, we get mad at them for things that makes perfect sense to their culture, but it makes no sense to ours. So it really does come out down to that huge cultural difference. Like if you were to go right now and fly to Japan or fly to Africa, you're not going to understand that culture. You could get yourself in all kinds of trouble because you have no idea how you're supposed to behave, what you're supposed to say, what you're supposed to do. And their language isn't going to make any sense to you unless you have already been trained in it. And the same thing if they were to come here. It all comes down to that cultural background, what their world is made up with, what it encompasses, what they're taught, how they're supposed to react to it. It is very different than ours. Yes, they are part human. They are ancestors. But the dynamics of the world that they've created for themselves and the dynamics of what we've created for ourselves are completely different. I can't tell you how many times I have to explain, well, we do this because of this. And then they'll tell me, no, your people silly. We do this for this reason. And I'm like, okay, I wouldn't have thought about it that way, but okay. So it just comes down to that cultural difference. And you'll find that with Sasquatch in different parts of the country as well, and different parts of the world. It makes a big difference.
3 minutes to go. How different though are these Sasquatch cultures? Because we've talked a little bit about this before, but since we're in the conversation, the ones in the Pacific Northwest going up north towards Alaska, they seem to be a lot more docile. They seem to be maybe a little territorial, but you don't really have to fear them. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you look at the boogers, you look at the swamp monsters in Louisiana, you look at the Florida skunk ape, all these ones seem to be a lot more aggressive and a lot less, patient for humans.
Yeah. It's their culture. It's what their exposure is. It's what the people in those areas, how are they treated by those people? Are they in more of a fearful situation? Like you go to Alaska, in some parts of Alaska, because it's so open, they're fine because they have enough space where they can get away from you. But there are other places in Alaska that they are literally lethal. Like lethal. I know several people that are in Alaska that have dealt with some of these ones that are so highly aggressive that they were lucky they got out with their life. In fact, one person didn't survive it. But then there's pockets of the good ones. It depends on their living situation. When you get down, like, Florida skunk apes, they're a little bit more uncivilized. You get in some of these southern states, they are more uncivilized. Now, the ones where I'm at right now in the South, they're pretty mellow. I don't have any issues with them. They come right up in the backyard. They interact. They've interacted with my neighbor, myself, and up and down the road. I've not had issues with them. But you can go to certain spots, and because of the living situation around, the exposure to what's around them, our type of humans around them, and whether or not they are the higher frequency ones, obviously have a lot more intelligence to them, more rationalization to them. It just depends on that exposure and what they're dealing with. Is this a group that just wants to be left alone? They don't want you near them, and they will do whatever they have or whatever they can to be alone. But you're right. There are some pockets that they just seem fine and you're not going to have any problems. And then you can go to other areas and it's just pure aggression. It
Robin,
really
we
is.
have a minute to go with you tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, hanging out with us with your incredible knowledge on the Sasquatch and other cryptids. Tell everybody where your website is and how they can get a hold of you.
Sure. If you want to book any of my services, you can go to www.paranormal-empowerment.com. If you just have a question or whatever, you can find me on Facebook under Robin Haynes, no middle initial. And you can reach me that way. I answer everybody, so I'm really not hard to get hold of.
Yeah, you're pretty good that way.
Yeah, I get, I get people off the show that contact me with questions, and I'm more than happy to. I mean, they're wonderful people.
I love it when our audience does that.
I do
Robin,
too.
you have yourself an amazing, amazing night. And thank you
You
for
too,
all.
sweetheart. I love you. You take care.
Robin Haynes, everybody, as we say goodnight to Robin. And hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocket in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good night, Robin. All right, everybody. I'm pretty tired. I don't work tomorrow, so I'm going to cut this up in the morning. But big thank you to T-Bone tonight. Big thank you for the super chat and the gifting of a membership. Thank you to Jeff Steve Garvey, because he'll always hit a home run for you. And all of you tuning us in, don't forget after the show to give us a thumbs up, to give us a comment after the show. Tell us how you liked it, what you liked about it. We'd appreciate that, as we're trying to get back into the algorithms. So you guys can help us out with that, if you don't mind. Tomorrow night on the show, who do we have? Merle. But it might not be Merle. It might be Brent Thomas. We need all of you to send some healing prayers to Merle's dad. He's not doing very well, so Merle may not be able to make it tomorrow night. If Merle can't make it, Brent Thomas we'll be filling on in. Sweet Robbie G in the morning, I believe at 11:30 on his channel. I believe it's going to be simulcast over onto our channel. Is going to be taking in NASA's dump of photos on 3i Atlas. So we're going to get into that as well. That'll be a lot of fun. And to the rest of you, you guys have an amazing night. I'll see you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.